Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are going to be kicking off my year-end ranking series, and we are going to be ranking all of the foundations that I tried in 2024. So surprisingly, I did try only 13 foundations in 2024. So today we're just going to be talking about the liquid and stick foundations that I tried this year. So coming in at number 13 is from Urban Decay, and this is their Face Bond foundation. And I feel like so many people love this, and if you do, keep loving it. I love that, but this did not work for me. This did not get along with my dry skin whatsoever. This is supposed to be like a very matte, self-setting foundation that locks itself in, is waterproof, transfer-proof, smoothing, blurring, self-setting. This, from the description, was supposed to be the most amazing foundation and the only one you would ever need. Essentially, this gives a really beautiful medium to full coverage, definitely leans on the full side. And I do like the packaging of this as well. It is in a squeeze tube. I have the shade 2 Fair Neutral. The shade match is actually a really great match for me. And this is one that I hated so much I actually meant to return, but I didn't because I missed the return window. But this foundation, I just could not get along with. It just, no matter what I did, no matter what I prepared my skin with, it just looked so dry. And I imagine that is in part due to the self-setting properties. And before I would even be finished blending one side of my face, the foundation was already cracking and breaking up into certain lines. This just looked awful. And before I started filming today, I thought, let's give this one more go, because the one thing I have not tried with this is applying it over my Refer Intense Hydration Cream, which I have been swearing by for the last 6 months. I love that cream so much. It fixes everything. It tricks me into thinking I don't even have dry skin. So I thought that if anything could make this work, it would be my Refer Intense Hydration Cream. I tried it today, and for a second I thought maybe, but then when I sort of zoomed in, I could see that everything was already cracking right here, and I wasn't even done blending this side of my face yet. So I thought, nope, it's still the same. My skin is just way too dry for this. I have heard some drier skin types say that they like this, but for me, my skin is just way too dry. I don't like this. I can't get along with it. It sounded amazing, but for me, this was the worst that I tried this year. Coming in at number 12 is a foundation stick, and this is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Unreal Skin Sheer Glow Tint Hydrating Foundation Stick. So the packaging on this is beautiful. This is definitely some of the most beautiful foundation packaging I've had this year. And it does say right in the name that it is a glowy sheer tint. And that's fine. I knew it was going to be on the lighter coverage side. I knew it was going to be glowy. The problem was I didn't realize that it was essentially going to be the Hollywood Flawless Filter in stick form. So the Hollywood Flawless Filter, I think, is a very pretty product. I think it's really nice for under makeup, especially if you like a more glowy look. I think it can also be pretty as a targeted highlight. This can be used the exact same way. I don't like this as an all-over foundation whatsoever. This is just way too glowy. And one thing I've always said about the Hollywood Flawless Filter, especially in comparison to products similar to it, is that while it is glowy, it has almost a metallic glow to it, which I just don't always want. And I definitely don't want a metallic glow from a foundation. So while I knew this was glowy, I wasn't expecting that intense metallic glow of the Hollywood Flawless Filter. So as a result, I really just don't reach for this as a foundation at all. And this, of course, was Charlotte Tilbury, so it is very expensive, and I just don't reach for it because it's just way too glowy metallic. I think that this might be absolutely perfect for someone who is very young, has absolutely perfect skin, and wants to be super glowy, but as an all-over foundation, this just really didn't do it for me. I can definitely use this if I pair it with a good powder, and that is kind of how I like to use it, but it's definitely just not one that I'm excited to reach for and that I reach for day to day. Coming in at number 11 is a foundation that's actually been out for a few years, but that I just tried this year. This is from Tarte. This is the Shape Tape Cloud Coverage. Now, this is not a bad foundation. This is fine. I have mine in shade 16B Fairlight Beige, and I picked this up because Kelly Gooch raves about it, and I tend to enjoy a lot of very similar products to Kelly. So, of course, when she was raving about this one, I was very excited to pick it up. I do love the packaging. I love a squeezy tube with a pump. That is probably my favorite type of packaging. I don't really know why. I just really enjoy that type of packaging. This shade is too deep for me, so I do think that deters me. This is one that needs to be mixed with a slightly lighter foundation when I want to wear it. Otherwise, it's a perfectly fine foundation. It gives a nice medium coverage. It feels very lightweight on the skin. It looks really pretty. One of the issues I have with this is that it doesn't always look the same day to day. So one day it might look perfect, and then the next day it might look way too dry. And there's just not that consistency. I want to know how my foundation is going to perform every single day. When I think to my NARS Light Reflecting Foundation, I know exactly how my skin is going to look every single time I put on that foundation before I'm even putting it on. I know what my skin is going to look like. And that is the case with most foundations in my collection. But this, I just don't know. I don't know if I'm going to have a super dry day. I don't know if it's going to look great. And I can prep my skin the exact same both days and get two completely different results. So I think for that reason, I definitely didn't love this one as much as I thought I might. And I think a big part of that might have to do with the shade. Maybe I just notice more than I would because the shade is too deep. I don't really know, but because I just really didn't get a consistent result with this, I just don't love it as much as I thought I might. Coming in at number 10 is from e.l.f. and this is their Camo Hydrating CC Cream. So this is supposed to be full coverage, be long lasting, have a dewy finish. This also has SPF 30. So again, I have a squeezy tube with a pump, so I love that. This is in the shade Fair 120N. This shade is actually a pretty good match for me. The reason this one is ranking a little lower is mostly because I find that even though it describes itself as a hydrating foundation and it does look a little glowy as you're putting it on, it ends up drying down pretty matte. I like the medium coverage that I get with it. It looks really nice on the skin. It's just very easy to work with. It's just that on me, this ends up being more matte than dewy, and that completely throws me off when I'm looking for a more hydrating, dewier option. I like this, but there are some that I like more, and the fact that it's more matte when it says it's hydrating and dewy, that kind of throws me off a little bit. Coming in at number 9 is another drugstore foundation. This is from About Face, and this is the Performer Skin Focused Foundation. I have mine in the shade F2 Cool. This shade is too light. I definitely go through phases where I can pick the exact right foundation shade every single time, and then I'll switch and go through a phase where I can't get the right shade to save my life. Clearly I went through that phase this year, but this one is interesting because it does have a nice big doe foot applicator, and I actually like the doe foot. I really do. The shade is too light, so I think it makes it a little bit easier for me to see any imperfections, and this can lean a little bit dry, which is the reason I dropped it down. Otherwise, I think this gives a really, really beautiful medium coverage. I think it looks really nice on the skin. It's very comfortable. It feels very lightweight. I think it's pretty long wearing. I think essentially the shade throws me off with this. I know not a lot of people will love the doe foot, so that is something to factor in, and it does have a tendency to look a little bit dry sometimes. So for me, I put this one a little bit lower, but it's not at all a bad foundation. It's just not the perfect one for me. Coming in at number 8 is from Patrick Ta. This is the Major Skin Hydra Luxe Luminous Skin Perfecting Foundation. I have mine in the shade 3 Rosy Neutral. So this is easily some of the most beautiful foundation packaging I have. It is definitely the heaviest. This is also one of the 2 most expensive foundations in this ranking. So this is such a beautiful foundation bottle. The packaging is beautiful. It's very heavy, very luxurious. And these are things I knew going in, that it is definitely sheer and very lightweight. It's also very hydrating, so it does give a dewy finish. These are all things I knew going in. I do like how this looks on my skin. It definitely does give a really nice soft radiance. It does make my skin look very hydrated and dewy. It doesn't actually make it look like I have makeup on. It just looks like I'm having a really good skin day. which I like. Now, I do only gravitate toward this on the days when my skin is behaving. If I'm struggling with breakouts, I don't really go for this because I'm not going to get any of the coverage that I want. And I've described this as being really good for no makeup days because that is what it looks like. It just makes you look really pulled together, but not like you're wearing makeup. It feels very lightweight on the skin, and it honestly just feels like you have a nice moisturizer on. It does not feel like you're wearing makeup when you wear this. What my problem essentially comes down to with this is that this retails for $58 US or 80 Canadian. This is a very, very expensive foundation to look like you're not wearing makeup. Like if I'm spending that price point, that foundation better make me look absolutely perfect, and it better not give me a single issue. This wears beautifully and looks beautiful on the skin, but like I said, it looks like nothing. I do not want to spend $80 for no makeup. I like this a lot, but it's way too pricey for what it is. Coming in at number 7 is weirdly enough the other most expensive foundation in this ranking. And this is the Dior Forever Skin Perfect Face Stick. This is in the shade 0N. I really like this foundation stick. I love how it smells. It does have a fragrance to it, but it's like a very clean, fresh fragrance, and I really, really like it. And this is a foundation stick that I do quite enjoy. So I have been on a mission for a while to find a really good stick foundation for my dry skin. And stick foundations can lean a little bit toward the dry side. And as a result, they do tend to work much better for normal to oily skin types. I love the convenience of a stick foundation because they're just so much quicker to apply. You don't have to worry about having a palette to pump it onto or put it on the back of your hand and forget to clean it off. It's just so much more convenient. I love this. It gives a really beautiful light to medium coverage. It's very hydrating. It feels very lightweight. It's super comfortable. It blends like an absolute dream. This blends so quickly, and it just looks really beautiful on the skin. My issue is if you try to layer this to build it up a little bit and get a little bit more coverage, it'll kind of get a little bit heavy, and anything you put on over top will actually cause the foundation to move around. And that just drives me crazy. So I have to be very mindful when I'm using this to not try to layer it. You have to remember to use this in light layers, and it's a beautiful, beautiful product. But sometimes I just want a little bit more coverage. So for that reason, I dropped this down, but I actually do really like this. Coming in at number 6 is another stick foundation I tried this year, but I really like this one. This is from LYS, and this is their Triple Fix Foundation Stick in the shade LP4. So this is in their standard triangular packaging. This has a really nice medium coverage, and you can build this one up unlike the Dior. This looks really nice on the skin. It's very smoothing. It's very comfortable. It's very long wearing and just very easy and quick to use. The only reason I don't reach for it as much is because the shade is too deep, so I do need to get a lighter shade, but otherwise I actually do really, really like this foundation. Coming at number 5 is one I tried all the way back in I think January, and this is from Kylie Cosmetics. This is the Power Plush Long Wear Foundation. This is definitely a little bit on the matte side, but it gives such a good high, medium to full coverage. I really, really liked this. I was surprised by this. So I have the shade 2C, and this is actually a perfect match for me. I really did enjoy this one, and I reached for this several times since. Like I said, this gives a much higher coverage level, but it feels very lightweight and very comfortable. It blends very easily, and for a matte foundation, it does not dry down. It doesn't make my skin look super dry or cakey. It doesn't cling to my dry patches. It's just a really lovely foundation, and I like the high coverage level. I love the packaging. I thought this foundation was really, really good. But a matte foundation that I tried recently and loved even more is from One Size. This is the Turn Up the Base Full Beat Liquid Foundation. So I have this one in the shade Fair 15R, and this one is a little bit light for me, but first of all, the packaging is beautiful. This absolutely gives you a very full coverage. This will cancel out everything. This will cancel out all your sins. You didn't get enough sleep? This will cover it. Whatever you've done to your skin, this will hide it. It is definitely very matte, and I was a little worried about that because, like I said, that Urban Decay Face Bond did not get along with me, but the Kylie Cosmetics did. So I thought, let's just give it a go. This is even better than the Kylie Cosmetics. This gives a little bit more coverage, but it is so incredibly lightweight. When you put this on the skin, it doesn't feel like you're wearing anything. This is just so incredibly comfortable, and while it's matte, it doesn't feel drying or heavy. It just cancels everything out. And I don't know how it does it. It's just such a good foundation. I was so confused by this when I first got it because it kind of initially made me think of 2016 when we were going for these very heavy, full coverage, cancel everything out foundations. And then this seemed to have a lot of those similar claims, but this actually does cancel everything out, but does not dehydrate my skin, does not make me look super dry. It doesn't cling to dry patches. It just cancels me out, and it doesn't feel like anything on my face. This is the perfect matte foundation. I do love a matte finish, but it is hard to find for dry skin. But this one, if you are looking for that full coverage matte finish, this is the absolute perfect one. It's so incredibly good. It's everything I want from a matte foundation with none of the complaints that I used to have. It's such a good one. Coming in at number 3 is from Makeup Forever, and this is the HD Skin Hydro Glow Foundation. I have mine in the shade 1RO2. This is the most perfect match. This is probably one of the most perfect matches I have in my collection in terms of shade range. This I love. I love the original HD Skin, but compared to this, that one is very dry. This is definitely glowy. This is definitely going to give you that glass skin effect, but it's not going to be that glass skin metallic glowy like the Charlotte Tilbury. This just gives you a really beautiful glow. It kind of looks like an almost skincare-like glow. It almost reminds me a little bit of the Patrick Ta, but with a little bit more coverage, and it costs less. So I recommend this one far more than the Patrick Ta. This is just really great if you have dry skin. This is very hydrating and very comfortable, super, super lightweight. Gives a really nice light to medium coverage. This is that perfect foundation if you're looking for a little bit of coverage, but you don't want to look like you're wearing heavy makeup and you still want a little bit of a glow that just makes you look fresh. This is the perfect foundation. It's so, so lovely. Okay, we are into the top 2. Coming at number 2 is from Fenty Beauty, and this is the Soft Lit Naturally Luminous Longwear Foundation. This is fantastic. This is a really beautiful medium coverage foundation. I have mine in the shade 120. This is also a really great match for me. This is a beautiful, beautiful foundation. Like I said, it's more of a medium coverage. It definitely does have a radiance to it. It's definitely on the glowier side, but when you add a little bit of a powder, it just looks like an elegant radiance, kind of like the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation, but I would say this has a bit more coverage. This is also very comfortable. It never feels too heavy. It just looks unbelievably beautiful on the skin. And if you have dry skin, I think this is such an incredible option. I think Fenty did such a beautiful job with this. I always love the way that my skin looks when I wear this. My one complaint is a packaging issue. Mine is actually leaking around here, and no matter what I do, it doesn't stop. So I really have to be mindful to keep this standing. Otherwise, I love this foundation so much. It's such a fantastic one, and I highly, highly recommend this one if you like a more soft radiance but you want more coverage. This is it. And my favorite foundation of the year actually surprised me because it is another one of these matte foundations. This is the Huda Beauty Easy Blur Natural Airbrush Foundation. When I purchased this, I thought I would like it, but I didn't think I would love it. I love this. I have the shade Vanilla 120B, and this is a little bit on the light side, but this is fantastic. So first of all, I like the packaging. I know some people complained about the packaging. I love it. So this is a soft matte, medium coverage, bulletproof foundation. This will last all day long, but it doesn't cling to dry patches. It doesn't make my skin look dry. It doesn't settle into lines, it doesn't crack, it doesn't enhance anything I don't want it to, and it does not feel heavy. This and the one size, I said in another video, I feel like are leading the revolution into these matte full coverage foundations that are going to work for all skin types, because this is so, so, so good. My skin loves this foundation. I feel like this is everything that Urban Decay intended to be but missed. I love this so much. I reach for this all the time. So the caveat I always have to mention when I'm recommending this is when you're putting this on, if it looks dry, do not panic. Just keep going. finish putting it on the face, if you just wait and give it a minute, this will end up looking perfect. I don't know what it does. I don't know why it does that, but it ends up looking absolutely perfect. And this is another one that is kind of self-setting. You do not need to set this with powder. If you have dry skin like me, there's no need to set this. It will not move. It will settle down to a matte finish, but it is not going to move and it's not going to feel uncomfortable. That's another reason the one size is at number 3, because with that one, I feel like I still need to add powder. That one, I feel like when I put it on, if I don't add powder, I'll still get some of my hair sticking to my face, which I just don't like. This does not do that if I don't powder it, so I love that I can get away without using any powder when I'm wearing the Huda. That's just another thing I love about this. This is easily my absolute favorite foundation of the year. The Fenty is amazing, but this one made my life so much easier. It does not beat my NARS Light Reflecting Foundation, but it's definitely up there ranking in my all-time favorites. This is just fantastic. But that is it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching. Let me know down below, what is your favorite foundation of the year? What is your favorite foundation in general? I love hearing from you guys so much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!